The United States just shrank for the first time in years, and at the exact same moment, China used its own currency for $725 billion in global trade. The dollar wasn't defeated by war, it's being replaced by design. And Washington, they're calling it noise. But what happens when the rest of the world stops listening? Just days after President Trump's Liberation Day tariffs took effect, China's yuan surged past 54.3% of all cross-border settlements in March, totaling $725 billion, according to data published by China's SAFE, the State Administration of Foreign Exchange. That figure represents a record-high ratio of non-dollar trade by China, and a 12% jump from just 3 months prior. Meanwhile, the United States economy shrank by 0.3% in the first quarter of 2025, the first contraction since 2022, fueled by a rush of pre-tariff imports that overwhelmed domestic absorption capacity, per the Commerce Department. Bloomberg analysts noted that the front-loading distorted real GDP, while inflation stayed firm and consumer spending rose just 1.8%, the slowest since mid-2023. Instead of throttling China, the tariff announcement appears to have triggered a wave of international trade realignments away from the US dollar. And what Beijing is doing next with those yuan-based settlements is what has economists on edge. On April 9th, Reuters confirmed through 3 independent sources that the People's Bank of China issued direct window guidance ordering major state-owned banks to suspend proprietary purchases of US dollars. This move followed a sharp depreciation of the yuan and was seen as a coordinated attempt to stabilize the currency without directly depleting FX reserves. But the timing, immediately after the 145% US tariff escalation, raises questions. Goldman Sachs analysts told clients that the directive strongly suggests a strategic decoupling in capital flow exposure, while China's Ministry of Commerce denied any active negotiations with Washington, directly contradicting Trump's claims to Time magazine about a 200-deal rollout. If Beijing is quietly limiting exposure to the dollar while denying diplomacy, then the issue isn't just currency defense, it may be systemic retreat. But if that's the case, what pressure point is China preparing to push next? The dollar's share in China's international trade settlements has plunged from 70% during Trump's first term to just 41.4% as of March 2025, according to PBOC and SWIFT transaction data reviewed by Reuters. The decline isn't merely statistical, it's geopolitical, with Chinese exporters now preferring RMB-based invoices, especially when trading with nations like Brazil, Russia, and Pakistan. The Wall Street Journal notes that Chinese energy firms have begun settling crude oil trades with Gulf producers in yuan for the first time since mid-2024, bypassing SWIFT entirely in favor of Beijing's CIPS system. In practice, the United States is sanctioning itself out of relevance in bilateral trade corridors. These tariffs are acting like forced decoupling mechanisms, said Pantheon Macroeconomics chief Ian Shepherdson, who warned that if reciprocal tariffs remain through the second quarter, dollar displacement could become permanent. So the question is no longer if dollar usage declines, but how fast that trend accelerates once others follow China's lead. Between March and April 2025, foreign investors sold $63 billion in U.S. equities, with 72% of that liquidation coming from European institutions, according to data from the Securities Industry and Financial Markets Association, or SIFMA. Despite this, the S&P 500 clawed back early losses in late April, finishing the month up 1.2%, powered by domestic inflows and algorithmic short squeezes. But beneath the surface, capital flight signals something else. A fundamental reevaluation of U.S. market risk. J.P. Morgan strategist Marko Kolanovic said in a client briefing that foreign exits are not just tactical, they reflect a longer-term hedging against dollar volatility and policy unpredictability. With 18% of U.S. equity ownership held overseas, sustained outflows could dry up liquidity, especially if rising inflation eats into corporate margins. And with China now redirecting settlements away from USD, the fear isn't just about tariffs, it's about who stops showing up at the auction. The U.S. economy was expected to grow 0.4% in Q1 2025, but instead contracted 0.3%, primarily due to a $49 billion surge in pre-tariff imports that widened the trade deficit to a record $117.8 billion in March, according to the Commerce Department. Though Morgan Stanley analysts emphasize this was front-running, not fundamental weakness, the numbers show otherwise. Consumer spending growth slowed to 1.8%, the lowest pace in 3 quarters, and business investment, while technically stable, fell short of offsetting trade drag. Trump's claim that companies are moving into the U.S. in record numbers lacks recent confirmation. The Wall Street Journal reports that most multinationals are pausing expansion until tariff clarity improves. Meanwhile, Goldman Sachs estimates that reciprocal Chinese tariffs at 125% could reduce U.S. exports by $28 billion annually. If this is strategy, it's one that's pricing out American firms while inviting others to take their place. But are we measuring strength or just surviving the punch? President Trump defended the Q1 GDP print by claiming a 3% core GDP gain, removing inventory and import distortions, and touting a 22% increase in domestic investment. However, neither the Commerce Department nor the Fed recognizes core GDP as an official metric. And much of that investment, according to Bloomberg Intelligence, is tied to inventory stockpiling, not new production. Meanwhile, ADP reported just 62,000 jobs added in April, barely 1/3 of consensus expectations, fueling concerns of a labor market stall. Trump's argument hinges on a future manufacturing boom, but Fitch Ratings warned in a May 2nd note that input costs remain elevated due to tariff friction, and reshoring momentum is overestimated in near-term projections. And if imports stay high, inflation could push past the Fed's 2% ceiling, putting both the economy and the consumer in a bind. So the question isn't whether the point was made, it's whether it was worth the damage it caused. Despite signs of contraction, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent called the downturn market noise, asserting to CNBC that the fundamentals for a strong dollar and safe bond market remain intact. But Morgan Stanley noted that April's data showed the slowest pace of business equipment investment since mid-2023, and Bloomberg Economics projects a possible minus 0.6% print for the second quarter if tariffs persist. Trump, for his part, claims foreign companies are moving to the U.S. in record numbers. Yet FDI data from the Bureau of Economic Analysis shows a 17% drop year over year. Is this calculated resilience or a misread of accelerating structural shifts? Consumer spending grew just 1.8% in the first quarter, the weakest rate since mid-2023, while inflation stayed stubbornly high, with core PCE hovering at 3.3%, well above the Fed's 2% target. According to the New York Fed's April survey, short-term inflation expectations among consumers rose to 6.5%, the highest in over 4 decades. Simultaneously, real wages have declined for 3 consecutive quarters. Per BLS data, compressing household margins. Ian Shepherdson at Pantheon Macroeconomics warned that this is the classic stagflation setup: slowing demand, sticky prices, and policy paralysis. With second quarter inventories building up, the next wave may not be higher prices, but job cuts. And still, no plan to unwind the tariff chain reaction. Trump defended the first quarter's GDP miss by emphasizing a 22% surge in gross domestic investment, calling it a core strength of the economy. But that spike was driven primarily by inventory stockpiling, not capital expansion, according to a Bloomberg breakdown of BEA data. Meanwhile, the labor force participation rate declined slightly to 62.3% in April, and housing starts dropped 11% year over year amid tightening credit. While core GDP is not an official economic metric, it's been invoked repeatedly by Trump's team as a proxy for resilience. However, as JP Morgan analysts wrote, inventory-led rebounds often evaporate when real demand softens. So what are we actually tracking, output or optics? Neither the Federal Reserve nor the Bureau of Economic Analysis recognizes core GDP as a legitimate category. It's a campaign-created term being used to deflect from the 0.3% contraction in the first quarter. According to Fitch Ratings, most of the 22% rise in investment hailed by Trump was non-productive inventory accumulation, with no link to productivity gains or job creation. At the same time, consumer sentiment, measured by the University of Michigan, plunged to a 10-year low in April, with 65% of Americans now expecting higher unemployment. Trump's narrative suggests a boom is imminent, but the hard data points toward fragility. If the administration is measuring growth using selective stats, can voters or investors trust what's coming next? So where does this story go next? As China ramps up RMB trade, foreign investors exit U.S. markets, and domestic demand cools, one thing is certain. The dollar's global position is no longer guaranteed. It's being actively replaced. The U.S. economy may still rebound in the second quarter, but only if the trade policy reversals happen in time. And right now, there's no sign of that. So let me ask you, if the next quarter shows a deeper contraction, will Washington finally blink? Or double down again? Drop your take in the comments, because what comes next may not just change the markets. It could redefine how the world does business. We're glad you're enjoying this video. Please like and subscribe. Check out another video that is now on your screen.